I see I have a viewer. Can you guys hear me okay? Two viewers now. I'm going to turn off any notifications here. Can you guys hear me okay, those of you who are listening? Cannot see comments. Now I can't see comments here. Can you guys see comments? Maybe that was something I needed to do in advance. Okay, I'm not sure about the comments here. I can't see any comments. We may just proceed. Perhaps that was something I needed to do before. I'm trying to go under settings right now to see if I can do something to get the comments to come back up. I did see that. I'm going to leave it for now. I am not seeing how to turn on the comments. Okay, looks like there might not be any comments today. Sorry about that. I'm not overly savvy. Maybe one of my colleagues, Ryan, maybe he'll have access to this because he's on the same page. Maybe not because I'm the creator here. What I'll do is I'll just start off by introducing myself. So my name's Jordan Guillen. I'm a PSP staff member out of London, Ontario, servicing Southwestern Ontario. And my partner Terry's here today. She's going to be working through the class with us. I'm going to start off by just going through the disclaimer. So in response to COVID-19, PSP is offering virtual fitness to Canadian Armed Forces members by using social media platforms. The virtual classes tailored to Canadian Armed Forces personnel become accessible to all. Participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces member recognize and acknowledge that their age, health status, and physical fitness level are unknown. And it is entirely up to each individual to assess their ability to participate in this class. Since it is preferable to consult your physician before beginning any exercise program, we invite all to participate who are not Canadian Armed Forces member to consult the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference documents. If you experience any pain or difficulty during the exercise presented in the video, it is recommended that you stop and consult a healthcare provider. If CAF members sustain an injury during this video, please remember to fill out a CF98. So in my post here, you guys should be able to see those two links. So I'd recommend that you check those out if you have any concerns at all. So we're just coming up to 9 o'clock here. I'll take a moment once again just to see if I can figure out how to get the comments on. With that being said, in terms of what you'll need for equipment today, if you guys look at the post itself, so if you are on the full page, if you just want to minimize it slightly, you'll be able to see the description of today's class. This was posted in advance, so most of you may have seen this already. In terms of equipment, what I would recommend is some sort of household items. You may not have band at home. You may not. You may have a laundry bottle. We do have those today that we'll be using, and then we have a backpack. But there's going to be options. I would just recommend having some form of resistance to assist you within the class today, especially depending on what you want your focus to be. So it's 9 o'clock now. I'm just going to jump right into things. If any of you had attended my class, not last Monday, but the Monday before, I'm essentially building off of that class. So we do want to make sure that we have some level of consistency within our program, so we have something to measure up against. We are going to move through the series of movements that you can see posted here. The way that the class is structured is that it's set up for any fitness level. So I'm gonna have my timer going here so that everybody at home can follow the timer. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of a better job relative to the last time where I tried to take on a little bit too much. So I'm gonna recommend that you guys follow yourself on the timer. For those who are beginner, we're gonna work at a 30 to 30 work to rest. Intermediate would be 40 to 20, and then advanced is 50 to 10. Now, one of the things that you can consider is the amount of resistance that you're using. So if you are an advanced and you want to add more resistance, or even an intermediate for that matter, you can reduce your time down to 30 seconds just because the load is greater. And then we'll need more rest in between sets in order to continue. So that's how you're going to move through the class today. In terms of the exercises, they're all listed. I'm not going to go through and demonstrate them all initially. I felt like last time that took a little bit too much time. I'm going to give modifications throughout, and I'll give examples of different options as we go through the workout. And Terry will be the one doing the workout for the most part. So I'm only here to coach and correct, and I'll do a little bit of work just to show some different options here. So the overall focus today is functional core strength. And when we talk about core, we generally think of core specific type movements, but in all actuality, the core is going to be required to be strong in a lot of different movements, to be able to do a lot of functional tasks, whether that be at home, whether that be at work. It could be lifting, moving, pulling, pushing objects. We really need to focus on having a strong core to do that properly without increasing the risks of injury. So that's why we're going to focus on this class today. So we're going to be doing a lot of traditional type muscular movements that are functional, and we're going to be adding in some core-based movements as well. So the first series that we're going to go to is a series of 3 exercises. We'll be doing a squat with a single leg deadlift. Each of those will be 1 minute each, which will be 2 minutes in total based upon the work to rest that I previously explained. And then we'll be doing a push-up and a bird dog for the same duration, which is 2 minutes. A backpack swing, kind of like a kettlebell swing. So that's where you might want to have a laundry bottle or that backpack with some weight in it. And then we're going to do walkouts. We'll do those from the knees because we are going to be in a plank position quite a bit today when we consider the push-up and then the plank later on in the workout. So that's going to be 6 minutes. We're going to take some additional rest. I'll then go through some of the following exercises before we start in. So that's where you'll take a bit of a break. Those other exercises are going to be lunge, glute bridge, bent over row with a plank, single arm shoulder press, and we're going to do those with a side plank. We're then going to take 2 minutes rest, which will be 15 minutes, and we're going to repeat that twice today, which will be 28 minutes in total. And that's going to be give or take. So my goal today is basically to wrap up at about 1:45 or 10:45. So the class itself, the main body being 28 to 30 minutes. So I can't ask any questions right now, so hopefully you guys don't have any and you can follow along. I'd recommend that you do check out the other workouts that I've been posting. So that's on this the PSP Southwestern Ontario page or my page specifically. And then follow, obviously, Garrison Toronto, where all of you are on that site right now. Reconditioning, if you're a member of that program in Toronto, reach out to Marissa Chen and Jason Top. They'll provide you with some assistance and support. So with that being said, I'm going to proceed into the class then. So we're going to just go through those first few exercises with you, and then we're going to get right into the warm-up. So we'll get started with the warm-up in about 5 minutes. So what I would recommend that you do in the interim is if you don't have any resistance ready, if you don't have a beverage with you, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and you take the moment to do that if you're comfortable and familiar with all of the exercises. So I'm just going to step back now, and just in terms once again of the equipment that we have today, we have some laundry bottles, we have some bands, and I understand that not everybody's going to have those at home, and then we have some resistance here in the backpack. All right, so that's what we're going to be using here today. Let's go through the exercises. So for the first exercise is going to be a squat. I'm going to get Terry to just step forward here. So feet are going to be hip width, shoulder width apart. And Terry's going to basically sit back, keeping her back nice and neutral. And she's going to go down to a depth that she's comfortable. And what I'm always going to recommend with the muscular movements is we do them with control. So focus on the negative as well as the positive. And the negative is going to be the lowering. And then we're a little bit quicker on the way up. All right, so that's all I'm going to go through with the squat for now, because we'll give modifications as we go. So with the single leg deadlift, what I would recommend is that you do use the laundry bottle and you take it in the opposite hand. Okay, so what are you going to do, Terry? So you're going to lower down at your body at the hips as you raise your leg. Okay. Yeah, so Terry's demonstrating that correctly, but I'm just going to show you one more time. So just holding in the opposite hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on coming down and then focus on coming up. And let's try not to rest down. And I find having the weight in the opposite hand is great for being able to help with balance. Now, as I mentioned before, we're always engaging the core. We're going to do a push-up. So I'm going to get Terry to come into the push-up position. Her head's on this side here. And she's just going to demonstrate from her toes. That's fine. There's obviously modifications that we'll go through. Okay, so we're lowering down and we're pushing back up. Let's go into the bird dog. So basically we have a tabletop position here. We're going to go alternate arm and alternate leg. And we can tap up and down as well. That'll be an option. And what you can do is you could either focus on one side the first time through and then the other side the second time through, or you can alternate as you start to fatigue. So the next one's going to be the backpack swing. So we're going to focus on our bag with some resistance here. And what we're going to focus on doing is take a wider stance so we can get that bag in between. And we're just going to focus on bending at the hip with a neutral spine. And we're coming up and down. So nice neutral spine through. And if you want, you can focus on one at a time. And we're trying to keep it nice and stable and consistent, trying not to get too much momentum. So the hips come forward. We're engaging in through the core. All right, so some options there for you. And then we're going to do that with walkouts. Now with the walkouts, we're going to do them from the knee. All right, so nice stable position. And we're just going to focus on coming out as far as we're comfortable. And then we're going to come back and in. So obviously from the feet is going to be more difficult, but we're doing a lot of plank today. So I'll leave that to you at home to assess and adjust. So those are the first three exercises. I'm going to go through the other three later. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start to warm up. So for the warm-up, the whole goal is just, I want to initially get the heart rate up a little bit, so I do want to get the blood flowing. I do want to loosen up the body a little bit. So we're going to do some dynamic movement, but just a little bit of movement on the spot to elevate the cardio. Let's do some shoulder rolls. So at home, we're just pushing those shoulders forward, so nice rotations here. And you can move forward and back, completely up to you. Let's switch directions now. So now we're going to move those shoulder rolls back just as we move on the spot, or back and forth. So just loosening up here, trying to get the blood flowing a little bit. Let's keep moving here, but let's bring the arms in and out just across the chest. So we're going to do a total body dynamic stretch here, progressively increasing in the difficulty. And then we're going to do a few specific movements to start. Now, I may not have said it in the beginning, but I'm not going to be playing any music. So if you haven't already, let's go from to the side overhead. You can focus on playing that music on your own from home. And once again, my apologies. I didn't realize that I had to turn the comments on. So Ryan, I appreciate you at home. I appreciate you willing to answer any questions. And let's just focus on pushing up overhead, still moving on the spot. Getting ready for those shoulder presses. All right, let's relax through the upper body. We're going to keep moving, but let's bring the heels back now. So we're bringing the heels back into the glute, warming up through the lower body now. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. They're ready to get moving. Let's focus on just walking on the spot again. Let's focus on bringing the knees up. So nice and controlled here, loosening up. So heart rate shouldn't be high at this point. We're just waking up the body. Maybe for some of you at home, it's still a little early. You're not used to getting up at this time. Maybe you've been doing a lot of training. Maybe you're a little sore. Maybe you need to loosen up a bit more. This will help. So let's just focus on jogging on the spot. So not an aerobic workout, but it does help to warm up the body. So once again, like I said, the focus today is that functional core strength. Maybe endurance, strength endurance for some of you, depending on the amount of resistance that you're using. With the work to rest here, we couldn't really be focusing on, let's bring the heels back. We couldn't really be doing a strength workout, a true strength workout. We probably don't have enough resistance at home, jog it out. And then the work to rest ratios wouldn't necessarily work. There's not enough rest. Let's focus on some high knees. All right, let's walk it out here. So heart rate's up a little bit here. What we're going to do is we're just going to focus on doing 5 squats on the spot. So the depth is up to you, right? You don't have to come down all the way if you're not comfortable. And we're still warming up here. But if you're comfortable, you can come down a little deeper. All right, let's focus on some lunges. So let's focus on 5 on each leg. So you can also do a split lunge, where we just focus on coming up and down. We just want to make sure that our front heel is always in contact with the ground. So that's 5 on each side. Okay, let's come down into a push-up. And we're just going to focus on 5 in total. So remember to retract your back. It's going to be bring your shoulder blades together and drive up through the chest. So from here, let's just do a couple bird dogs. So I'm just going to come down and up, staying nice and stable in through the core. And let's switch. Nice and controlled all the way through. All right, so that's going to be our warm-up. We're going to go ahead, we're going to get started. We're starting off with squats, either for 30, 40, or 50 seconds. I'm setting up the timer for you, so you're just going to follow the timer from home. All right, you ready, Terry?
Yeah.
So you guys can go ahead, maybe just grab a drink. I'll give it another second or two. So with the squats, you can, once again, add some weight by putting on the backpack. You can focus on using no weight, and that's going to also determine how long you're going to work for. So your timing from home, we're going to have a 10-second countdown, 50 seconds by 10. So 10 is our transitions, 50 is our work, and you're resting whenever you need it. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get started here. And I'm going to make sure I get the volume up so that we can all hear this. All right, we're starting. So we're starting into the squat. And I'll do a bit of work with you guys. So nice and controlled through your movements. Good job, Terry. So keeping good form, nice and neutral through the spine. Terry's bringing her arms out front, which is going to help her keep that proper position. She's sitting back, driving off the heels and the glutes. And she's going to go for the full 50. You might be resting at home. And we're going to switch. So now we're going to move in to that single leg deadlift here. And there we go. And try to lift up all together. All right, so if you can come all the way, that's great. And if not, you can just modify. But you want to stay nice and straight. You're going to get a nice stretch through the hamstring as well. And you can switch if you need to. Or as mentioned, just focus on one side. So always focusing on gauging the core. So you can see Terry's working on her balance here as she moves through. If it's a movement you're not overly familiar with, it is going to present some difficulty. You have to get comfortable, you have to build that balance, but we want to initiate the core. So we're going to give it that 10 seconds. We're going to move into the push-up now. And we can do the push-up from the knees also. So Terry's going to start off from the full position. 50 seconds here is a long time. So if you do start to fatigue, or even if you want to from the beginning, just start from the knees. So your knees will be down, and then we're going to focus on still keeping the same type of position. Just remember, once again, we're retracting the back, like we're trying to bring our upper back together from the bottom, and we're driving through. So Terry's modified. It's obviously become a little bit more difficult. Try to keep the feet down onto the floor. And we do want to keep the hip up slightly here so we're not getting too much rest into the ground with the quadriceps. So I'm sure you guys are feeling nice and warm now. Terry's going to be moving in to the bird dog onto this next movement. Great job at home, guys. Let's hang in there. Let's keep it up. So she's going alternate arm, alternate leg. And we can focus also on just doing the one side, or we can focus on switching throughout as we start to fatigue. We just want to make sure that we keep everything even. So you may want to count out 5 on one side and then move into the other. So we definitely want to make sure we keep everything under control. So you want to be nice and tight across the top. So it's not, there you go, not up so high. And then we're just going to focus on making sure we pause for a second in the top. And adjust yourself as you need to. Terry just almost kicked into our cabinet here. So once Terry gets through this one, we're moving into that backpack swing. So it's kind of like a kettlebell swing. You can use the laundry bottle as well, which I'll get Terry to do. So you guys are probably feeling a little bit warm right now. We're going to work into the rest. So this will be 4 minutes down. So I'm going to get Terry to take the laundry bottle. I'm going to grab the backpack here. Maybe just move over here. So try to keep it all controlled. So we're pushing forward at the hips. We're controlling the weight in through the back. And if you find it all at home that the screen is freezing, you may just want to increase the size and get rid of the comments. Now, there is no comments today, so maybe there won't be any. But just a recommendation if you're getting any stillness or any freezing. So if you're doing one, you can do one, maybe the resistance. But try to keep it a continuous motion. So you can focus on yeah, there you go, Terry. So just twisting it so it's pointing down. And you're driving forward at the hips, still engaging the core. So Terry's going to come down onto her knees. Now it's going to be like a push-up position. And then she's just going to focus on walking out with her hands. So keeping that core nice and stable. We don't want to see any arching. So you don't have to come out as far as Terry has. It's going to be completely up to you. It could just be one step out. It doesn't have to be all the way. And you can obviously make those adjustments as we move through the workout. But you want to always be engaging that core, keeping everything nice and tight throughout, and just working your way through. So at any point, if you do need extra rest, I want you to take that Just a reminder, those at home, if you are a beginner, 30 seconds by 30, intermediate 40 by 20, and advanced 50 by 10. Unless you're adding a lot of resistance, then you're going to want to decrease the time of work and increase the rest. All right, let's take a breather. So I want you guys all to grab a drink at home. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to discuss the other movements here. So let me pause this. So I'm going to pause this here while we take that rest. The next movement we're going to go into is going to be a lunge. All right, so we can step forward. We can do the one leg at a time. We can alternate. Just remember to keep the chest up nice and tall. You can do the split squat as well, where we come up and down, okay? The movement that's going to be next in the upper position is the upright row. And I'm going to go through all the regular functional movements first. So we're down and up. And then we're going to do the single arm. We're going to do the single arm. Just make sure that your laundry bottle's on. But we're going to do that single arm press. Those are our functional movements. And then we're going to move into a glute bridge, which will be laying flat on the back. And we're going to raise up, controlling down. And we can do one leg at a time if we can stay nice and stable throughout. The other movement that we'll be doing on the ground is going to be the plank. Okay? And we can focus on some options here. And then the other movement is going to be the side plank. Okay? So there's a few variations here. So if you guys are ready, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get started again. So we're into the lunge. And if you want, you're adding that extra resistance. So you can hold it, you can put it on your back. Just work within your own limit. So we're going to go ahead. As soon as I start this, we're going to start. So are you ready, Terry? Hopefully you guys are ready at home, and we're going to begin. So as mentioned, you can do one at a time. The next round, you could focus on the other leg. You can do the split squat, staying nice and tall through the upper body. And I want you to focus on that negative as well. That negative is going to be the lowering. So when we lower, we do so under control. So we're not neglecting the negative. We're focusing on the negative as well as the positive. So you can see how Terry's keeping her front knee down, her front heel down. And just staying nice and tall through the upper body. So we're going to come down now. We're going to focus on the glute bridge. So feet are going to be hip width, shoulder width apart with legs at 90. Head staying neutral. So we're resting, we're facing up. And when we come up to the top position, we're really contracting in through the glutes. Now obviously we need to stabilize the core in this position as well. So always emphasizing with all of these movements, whether you're realizing it or not, you're going to need your core to be engaged during all of these movements. So let's keep it up, Terry. You're doing great. Hopefully we're doing well at home. I'd ask you, but I can't see the comments right now. So good and controlled, focusing on that negative as well as the positive. What we're doing there is we're eliminating momentum and we're focusing on tension throughout. So just 5 seconds. And we're going to go into a bent row. So you can use the resistance, you can use the bands. So at home, I'll just demonstrate what we can do with some resistance here. So we want to make sure that we're nice and flat through the back. I got a bit of an arch position here. I like to keep my movements nice and controlled. So I want to try to keep as much tension. And as I'm moving through, I'm focusing on squeezing. So if I have that laundry bottle, I'm just going to focus on keeping my body nice and stable. And I'm just going to move through up to that top position. So Terry's choosing to use the band. We have that option. But the body's nice and stable. She's keeping her core engaged throughout. And she's really squeezing in through her back as she brings it together. So the next movement we're going to be focusing on is going to be into the plank. And we can do that from the elbow, from the top position. So Terry's going to move into probably the top position, or are you going to do the elbow? All right, so this one is really important to focus on keeping everything nice and tight. So this isn't just going to be in through the core. We want to squeeze through the glutes, the quads, the hams. We want to make sure that we're focusing on that nice position in through the upper body. And as soon as we start to fatigue, maybe we're not holding through this position, but if form starts to go in any way, you're going to rest. You're going to come down either to the knees or you're just going to rest altogether. So we've been doing quite a bit of this, and hopefully if you're returning to this class, maybe you did 30 seconds work last time, maybe you're doing 40 now, or maybe you're doing 32, 35, but you're getting a bit of progression, which is why I wanted to keep things the same to some degree today. I want you to be able to see how you feel and what the progression is like. So we're going to be moving into that single arm shoulder press. So I like to take 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. And as I come down, I'm just coming down to a 90 degree. And the side that you're going to feel that has most of the contraction is the opposite side. That's what we're going to go down to when we focus on the side plank. So with the band, you can obviously adjust the tension as well. So I'm doing right arm, which means I'm going to come down to do the plank, and I'm going to do it on the opposite side, which is going to be my left side. So Terry's just adjusting as she needs to in terms of her tension, and she's doing that in through the band. So now we're coming into the side plank. So Terry, did you switch arms, or how did you do that? So Terry is probably going to switch here. 50 seconds is a long time to do the side plank. So what I'd recommend is that you do alternate throughout. So get into your position, hold it for a period, and then move to the other side. Count within your head, or maybe watch the clock so you know how long you've been focusing on each side. So in 5 seconds, I'm just going to get Terry to switch to the other side. 3, 2, and switch. And just keeping her hip nice and high. And what you can do is you can drop down to the knees, as I had mentioned before, and you can be on your elbow. Okay, Terry's just choosing to use this variation. So she's almost there. All right, so we got through the full series. We're just going to take a little bit longer for rest. So go ahead, grab a drink. Grab a drink at home. So that was our first set through. So we're going to go through one more time, and we're going to do the exact same thing. But think about how you felt. Think about how you feel right now. Consider your modifications. So maybe if you did 30 seconds and you felt good, you might go a little bit longer. Maybe if you did 50 seconds, you might want to reduce it, or maybe you want to add some resistance and go for a lesser period of time. I'm giving you that flexibility at home. So you have those options. It's your workout, and you can modify it to best suit the outcome for you today. So let's just take a little bit longer here. Really unfortunate that I don't have those comments. I'm seeing some thumbs up, so that's a good sign, and my apologies once again. So just taking a breather. We need this recovery. If we want to be able to sustain a certain intensity, especially with all the work relative to the rest, we need to take time so that we can focus on our efforts through the next series. So how are you feeling, Terry?
Good. Sweaty, but good.
All right, so Terry's feeling good. She's feeling sweaty. So you've earned this rest. You've worked for it. So if you need to modify through the second set of series, then you certainly go ahead and do so. Take more rest. We will go ahead and get started just within another minute. I just wanted to make sure that you guys get 2 minutes here. And then by the time we get through this series, it'll be 9:45, and then I'll wrap things up in and around 9:50. So kind of as I said in the beginning, somewhere between 45 and 50 minutes today. And hopefully some of the modifications I made were an improvement. If some of you are returning from last week, maybe you found that we got a little bit straight to the point, which is kind of what the emphasis was today, trying to really limit the amount of time that you guys are waiting in the beginning. So let's go ahead, let's get ready. Grab your resistance if you're using it. We're going to move into the second series. So we're getting back into the squat. You ready, Terry? All right, we're starting back up. So Terry's deciding to use the resistance band. So she stepped up to the challenge. She wants to make it a little bit harder in through the second time through. So she has the band in between her feet, and then it's coming up behind her shoulders, and then she's grasping it in through the front. Now the whole time she's keeping a nice position in through the back, so she's keeping that arch. She's moving within a depth which works for her, sitting back, driving in through the heels. And she's not using too much momentum, so she's trying to keep full tension throughout the movement. So we're almost there, Terry. We're going to focus on another 5 seconds, and then we're going to move into that single leg movement. So you can use the laundry bottle, just watch out the lid doesn't pop off. Why don't you face this way so you're not kicking? Good. So has it on the opposite side so that she can focus on trying to get the balance. Now, everybody's going to be a little bit different. Some of you might be able to come up a little bit further, a little bit higher. I'll challenge you to not rest down with that back foot. And then that's just going to take a little bit more balance and stability. So if I don't rest down, it's just going to make it a little bit more difficult. And I'm really focusing on engaging the core, but I'm getting a nice stretch of the hamstring. We want to try not to twist at all. So try to keep that upper body nice and straight. So we're not going to focus on any twist. We want to keep it nice and neutral as we move through. So hopefully you alternated. So if you did one side the last time, that you did the opposite side this time. So we're going into the push-up, and at this point I'd expect that you'd be more fatigued. So I want you guys to adjust as you need to. Maybe you just start from the knees. Now, what you can also do is you can always focus on the negative. Now, the negative, for those of you who are unaware, is the lowering phase. So you can rest down after you do a negative. You can assist yourself back up from the knees. But what we're focusing on doing is emphasizing through a range of the movement where we should still have strength. So we're going to be stronger, about 40% stronger through the negative. So once we fatigue through the positive or even in through the static position, we should still have some strength left over for the negative. So that's a modification that you can do at home. So from here, we're going into that bird dog. And once again, if you focused on one side the last time, I want you to be able to adjust, and now you're focusing on the other side. But I don't want you to be explosive here. I want you to keep control. I want you to pause for a second at the top, and I really want you to focus on engaging. So just pause at the top just for a moment, Terry. There you go. So we always want to focus on control. I'd rather not see too much momentum. If we use momentum, we're using an external force, and we're going to lose resistance or lose tension into the muscle. So we're always focusing on our intent. We're thinking about where we're contracting, where we're working, and with our mind, we're helping to engage and to control the movement. That's what's going to help you get the most out of the movement itself. The body's not going to know how much you're lifting. It's just going to know how much tension is being created. So moving into the kettlebell swing. Taking extra rest if you need it. Okay, Terry's comfortable moving through. Just trying to keep it as one motion here. Coming back, coming forward. Swinging those hips forward. There you go, Terry. And once again, if you're doing one hand, maybe you're alternating into the other. It's going to fully depend on how much resistance you're using. If you're using something a little bit heavier as the bag filled with books, you may be using 2 hands. So we're almost there. So the next movement's going to be those walkouts again. And if you want to do them from a plank position, you certainly can. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of plank type movement today. So we can focus on just going right down to the knee. All right, so let's switch it up. Good job, Terry. Hopefully you guys are doing well at home. Can I at least, well, I'd ask for some thumbs up, but you're in the middle of training. I'll ask you in between. So we got 50 seconds here. Remember, you do not need to focus on walking all the way out. And remember to keep the core nice and engaged. We're going to focus on contracting and staying nice and tight through the core, using intention. So focusing on that mind to muscle connection and focusing on contracting as we make our way through that movement. So as soon as we're done the walkouts, we're going to take another minute rest. Those of you at home can go ahead, you can grab a drink, you can take the recovery. And then if you're enjoying the class, at that point, maybe I can see some thumbs up when you're back to the rest period. So don't overextend to the point where you're starting to arch. We want to be able to keep good posture throughout. All right, so let's take a minute break here. And you guys go ahead and grab a drink. And if you guys are liking the class, if it's working out, maybe give me a thumbs up. I can't take those comments right now. So I can tell I have a few viewers, but those of you who are training, who are doing the workout, some thumbs up if things are going well. No thumbs up. That's okay. That's all right. I'm sure you guys are doing great at home. You're probably just using this time to recover. So we're taking a minute here, and then we're going to move through our last series of exercises. So we have 3 more sets, which is 6 more exercises. We're back to the lunge. Remember, switching legs if we need to. There we go. We're getting some thumbs up now, which is great. So we got the lunge with the glute bridge, the bent over row with the plank. We got the single arm shoulder press moving to the other side if you weren't alternating. And then we're moving into the side plank, which would be for the other side, but most likely splitting it because 50 seconds, if you're holding it that long, is a long time. So you're sticking within your work to rest ratios depending on where you're at, and you're adjusting as you need to. So you have the timer, you can make those adjustments. All right, we ready, Terry?
Yep.
Hopefully you guys are ready at home. If you're using the resistance, go ahead and grab it. Let's get ready for the lunge and the glute bridge. So as you're doing that lunge, I want you to try to stay nice and tall through the upper body. So let's focus on keeping that upper body nice and tall. And it's okay if your knees come forward slightly. We want to try to avoid them tracking too far beyond the knee. But as long as the heel stays down, we're in a good position overall. We want to avoid that front heel from lifting up off the ground. So working through, Terry's alternating. Maybe you're doing that at home, or maybe you're focusing on the other side. And we're going to be moving into the glute bridge next. So we're going to be down on the mat, and you have that option between either the single leg or the double. The single leg is certainly more difficult. As long as you can keep your body nice and straight throughout. So this can come down as you come down, but then you're raising it in line. Okay? And if you're doing that, it's going to get really difficult, so you're going to want to switch every few reps, let's say every 5 or so. But keeping the core nice and engaged, so we're squeezing in through the glutes at top, and I can't emphasize enough, right? We're focusing on core. So we want to focus on keeping that contraction. So emphasizing that area, squeezing in through the abs, keeping that core nice and tight as we make our way through the movements. So we're going to be moving into the bent over row. So for those of you who are already resting at home, you can go ahead, you can get your resistance ready. Terry's going to most likely use the band again. I had showed some options before. So So I like to stay nice and controlled, as I mentioned before. I'm squeezing at the top, controlling down, keeping that neutral spine. And the way that I'm aiding myself in doing that is I'm sitting back into the movement. So I do have a slight bend in the knee, and I'm controlling down. You do want to keep your head neutral. I was just looking at myself to make sure that my form was good here. It's extending down and coming back up. So for me, the resistance is a little bit light. I would go the full 50 seconds. Now, if your resistance was heavy enough, then maybe you fatigue after 30, and then you're taking more rest. So it's all relative to your level of fitness and then how much resistance you're using overall. So from here, we're going to be moving into the plank. And we're almost done. We're almost through, guys. So we only have 3 more exercises that we're going to do here, and then we're going to wrap it up. So nice and stable. If you find that you're sagging, so if your hips are falling and you're getting an arch through the spine, I want you to rest or just drop down to the knee to see if you can correct. And if your butt's too high in the air, I just want you to be conscious of that, and I want you to correct. It's most likely because you're too tired at this point. So you would drop down to the knee, and then you would continue through. So as soon as Terry starts to feel it, or if she starts to lose her form, I'll just give her that indication that she needs to make the adjustment. But I think she's pretty gung-ho on making it all the way through. So she's just going to continue the position. How are you feeling overall, Terry?
Good.
So really focus on squeezing. Keep that core nice and tight. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the quads. It'll help keep that stability. All right, let's rest now. So 2 more exercises. We got the shoulder press. So we're moving to the alternate side now. And I think what Terry did the last time is she alternated as she worked through. So if you did the one side at home, switch to the other side. And remember, if we were doing the right arm, we would be moving into the left side for the plank, and then the opposite. All right, so left arm down to the right side. And then you're most likely going to alternate through that side plank, and it can be done from the elbow. It can be done from the upper position, and just adjusting as you need to. So Terry can see the timer as you can at home, so you can make those modifications on your own. So we're almost there, guys. Let's keep pushing through. We're almost done. Good job. And then we're going to move into the side plank, and this will be our last exercise. So Terry's going to start on the whatever side she chooses, that's fine. She's most likely going to alternate through. So she's choosing the top position. You guys can always alternate from home. Because she's holding it and she can't see right now, I'll let her know when she's halfway through. And for those of you at home, hopefully you've adjusted so that you're looking into the TV or the timer, and you can see exactly what's going on. So for Terry, she's going to switch in 3, 2, and switch sides. And now we're down to 25 seconds. So as soon as she's done this hold, we're done. We've made it through the circuit twice. We focused on the 12 exercises twice. So that would work out to 24 minutes work time in total with some rest built into it. So that was the main body. So in 3, 2, 1, and we're good. All right, good stuff. So I'm going to stop the timer at home. I want you guys to go ahead. I want you to grab a drink. Well done at home. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the workout. We're just going to give it a moment. I'm going to give you that time to grab a drink. If things are going well, let's see a few thumbs up, a few likes, if you like it. And if not, then it is what it is. I'm open to comments. Remember, you can reach out to me. Hopefully you can comment to this post. Let me know where you were viewing in from. Let me know if you were returning this week. Let me know if you enjoyed the workout, if it was an improvement from the last. And then give me feedback. Let me know if there's things that I could also improve on. So I want you guys to leave those comments. I want to once again just indicate that you can check out my page, Jordan B. Guillen. I've posted 16 workouts as of this one. 17 will be coming out on Wednesday. Now that workout was sprints. So I'd recommend that you go through the full series. You might find some workouts there that will fit into your schedule. Make sure you're checking out the Garrison Toronto page as well. They're posting workouts regularly as well, and we're collaborating together on the services that we're providing. Remember to check out the PSP national page. That national page is going to give you access to 5 days a week of workouts, Monday through Friday, 12 hours a day, all different types of classes put out by PSP across Canada. So check those out. Let's get into that cool down then. So what we'll do is we'll just walk on the spot to start. And if the heart rate's up, we just want to give it a bit to come back down. Let's bring one arm across the chest. So we're just grabbing above the elbow, and we're going to bring it in towards the body. Now you can stand still on the spot. It's really just going to depend on how you're feeling and where your heart rate's at. So we're at 9:45 right now. I'm going to have you guys wrapped up by 9:50. So let's switch arms now. Let's bring the opposite arm across. And then just moving around on the spot. So we're going to start off stretching from this top position, and then we're going to work our way down onto the ground, and we're going to do a few stretches there, primarily for the lower body. So from here, let's stretch forward. So we're just going to spread out the upper back here. So we want to try to spread out the shoulder blades. So I really encourage you guys to leave comments. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what we can improve on. Let me know if you'd like to see something a little bit different here. Let's focus on the chest now. So let's depress through the shoulders, and let's bring the arms back. We can also bring the hands behind into the lower back. So when I say depress the shoulders, I just mean push them in towards the ground. Keep your head nice and tall. So nice and neutral with your body here. So from here, let's take one arm. Let's come back. We're going to stretch out the tricep. I want you to stay nice and tall. So tall through the spine. Focus on keeping your head neutral. So we don't want to tuck our head down in towards our chest. So just head nice and tall. You can move back and forth if you choose to. We're just going to hold this position, stretch out the tricep. And let's switch into the other side. So heart rates probably weren't overly high to begin with. It was continual work, so I'm sure that they were elevated. But I would doubt that we were more so over a 7 in terms of heart rate if we were to use a scale from 0 to 10. Let's bring one leg forward. Let's bring the heel down with the toe up. I want you to just stay nice and neutral through the spine, so I don't want you hunching over. We want to keep the chest up. We don't want to drop it below the heart, so let's just stay nice and tall. If you want to enhance the stretch, just sit back into it a little deeper, and we're stretching the back of the leg that's extended. So let's switch to the other side, and that heel's down, that toes up. We're just going to focus on a couple more minutes here. So from here, let's just focus on coming down. So we're just going to come down into position here on the ground. And what I'm going to get you to do is to stretch out the quad. So you can rest all the way down. I'm going to stay up on my elbow. But I'm just grabbing the top of my foot and I'm pulling it in towards my glutes. And if I want to enhance the stretch, I can push my hips a little bit more forward. Remember, all of these stretches can also be duplicated. And let's switch to the other side. And we're going to focus on that hold. And from here, let's just come into a seated position. Let's grab one leg. And let's bring it over the other. Let's hug it in. Let's keep our chest up and out. Let's keep our back nice and tall so we're not rounding out. We'll get a good stretch here through the glute. So I'm about to wrap it up. So once again, we focused on functional core strength, more strength endurance, based upon probably the lack of resistance for some of you, but maybe not. Maybe some of you have a lot of resistance at home. And we're focusing on this to try to build a good amount of strength through the core, to try to prevent any sort of injury or limit the risk while we're doing tasks either at work or at home. And that can be lifting, that can be pushing, it can be pulling. A lot of those movements being common to our personal lives as well as our work lives. So having a nice, strong, stable core is only going to benefit us over time and as we age and help to reduce the risk of injury. So as I had said before, if you enjoyed the class, leave some comments. I apologize once again that I didn't turn the comments on. My fault completely. It's a learning lesson. I'm still getting familiar with these tools and these programs. So leave me some comments. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't. Follow me on Facebook. Follow Garrison Toronto, and then follow the PSP national page as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully that'll set you up for a good day. And that's Jordan Guillen from logging out.
Now you can see the comments.
You know what? It looks like now I can see the comments. So I'm going to just stick around for a moment. Maybe Ryan could see them all the way throughout. So hopefully that was the case and maybe he was able to answer. It just speaks to how much of a rookie I am here. So I can see those who did tune in, and then it looks like I can see your likes. Anyways, guys, leave those comments. I'll get back to all of them. I'll look through them all. Let me know if there's any areas where I can improve or if there's things that you'd like to see specifically in my next class. So tune in to Kim's class next Monday at the same time. And then mine will most likely be the following week after that. So all the best.